And with us tonight are the candidates running for the Elon Board of Aldermen, Stephanie Bourland, who's the Associate Director for Corporate and Employer Relations here in the School of Communications, and Randy ORWIG, who is the Senior Pastor at Elon Community Church. Thank you so much for joining us live here in studio.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So the election is on November the 2nd. You both are running for the 2 open, uncontested seats. So it's election day, but it sounds like it's going to be pretty safe to me. You've said that that it has been actually sort of rewarding to run an uncontested race because you've been able to connect with members of the community and hear about the changes that they really want to see happen. So what are those changes? I'll start with you.
Well, and we get to have coffee together right across the street. Exactly. So it's a lot of fun rather than being a tough race. It's a lot of fun. I think one of the things that people are talking about is affordability, water bills, inclusivity is one of the things that I'm really important to me, as well as safety. I mean, Elon is the 4th safest town in the state of North Carolina, and we'd love to keep it that way. So those are some of the things that I've been hearing from folks.
Absolutely. Randy, what about you?
Well, once again, I think the fact that we're unopposed gives us the chance then to get out and really look at different neighborhoods and different areas. I want to really focus on listening and see where people really are feeling any kind of needs that need to be there. But water is probably our biggest one, and Stephanie and I have talked about that. There's even, again, an outside chance that we could try to develop a regional water authority, which would be fantastic for the area. That might create some leadership, and I'd like to be there to help with that.
Yeah, and so is that sort of unusual that water is such an important issue for towns and municipalities? Or I guess, that's something that for students who are here, they're not really thinking about the water, right? It's coming right out of the faucet, and they don't really give it a second thought. So I guess that's just interesting too, I think, from the student perspective, don't you think?
Well, it's one of those things where we don't get our water from Elon, we get it from Burlington, so we're sort of at the mercy of whatever bills they want to charge us for. And there have been changes that are being made to try and reduce that amount. But, like we've said, it's one of those things where we're going to continue to work on it, hopefully together.
Absolutely.
and then we will be able to try and get those water bills to go down.
Sure. So neither of you have held a public office here in the town of Elon. So do you think it's sort of rewarding to bring that outsider's perspective in terms of the Board of Aldermen?
Well, I've been involved with the Aldermen for a lot of years. As pastor of Elon Community Church, we've been involved in a lot of different issues, and it's brought us there. Our space is right next to the downtown area, and there's a lot of work on green space and emphasis on that. And we have one of the main green spaces in the downtown area. So we're working with them on that. So even though I would be sitting in a chair behind the desk, I've been on the other side of the desk quite a bit. So.
All right, well, we're going to pause right there. Don't go anywhere. We're going to have more from our Board of Aldermen candidates right after the break. Stay close. And I'm joined once again by Stephanie Bourland and Randy ORWIG, who are running for our 2 open seats on the Board of Aldermen. Thanks for sticking with us through the break. So I want to talk a little bit about student issues, and obviously students, faculty, and staff who are registered in this area can all vote in this election. And so, what are some of the things that you want to be sure to do for them?
Well, I think, sometimes people talk about town and gown, and I think when I was not a part of Elon, I've been a part of Elon University for 4 years now, people don't have an understanding of how bright, and I'm not just saying this because I'm here on ENN, but how bright, hardworking the students are. But I think one thing that they could add to it is to come out and vote, because for 4 years, this is your town. And so you have a voice in what's going on here. You might move on, but you might only be there for 2 years or so. So let's have a voice in what is actually happening here. So come out and vote.
Sure. Randy?
Well, that's a big thing with us running unopposed. You can vote for both of us, and that's okay. And we know that we think, well, why should I come out for an unopposed election? Well, our mayoral race is also has an opposition, so there will be a need to have a vote turnout for that. The other thing is that, there's a lot of like water bills and other things that you have to deal with in a small town like this. But there are some issues that from time to time come up.
And I know, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I know one of those is, and I know that you've talked about this a lot as well, has been kind of revitalizing the downtown area. And so what do you both really want to do for that during your time on the board?
Well, I think supporting the local businesses that are already here is the most important thing. I mean, we try, and I know that we eat lunch right downtown. We get our coffee here, so that's an important part of it. But also making sure that anything that grows is in a good strategic way of growing, because this town has remained Elon and special because of the way that it has grown along with the university. So I think that's an important part of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the vision of the town is that we want to be a unique place, and we want to help create that. But again, back to one of those issues was the non-discrimination ordinance that we were able to consider prior to our being there. And that was one of those things that really brought out student participation. The Student Council, Student Government Association have voted, wanted it to go through, and it didn't. So my hope is we can revisit that when we come on board. Because I think we want to make sure that even though we consider Elon a safe place, we want it to be safe for everybody. And we want people to feel that sense of safety, especially our students.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Randy Orwig, Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us. And you know, after November, we'd love to have you back and talk about what's going on, you know, and what you're able to bring to the board. Appreciate it. Thanks for joining us. All right. And so I'm sorry, I'm looking over here now. Thanks for joining us, and for all the information about Elon and Burlington elections, you can visit our website, elonnewsnetwork.com. Voting for the Board of Aldermen is set to take place on Election Day, November the 2nd. Both early and by-mail voting are accepted. Students, faculty, and staff and residents who are registered to vote in the town of Elon are eligible to vote in this election. And as they said, while their race is uncontested, the mayoral race is not. So be sure to head out and vote.